Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I will be giving you my spoiler-filled review for the latest and very good episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which dropped yesterday on Disney+. I finally had a chance to watch it, thoroughly enjoyed it so very much. And I'm going to tell you guys what I thought of it. But before I do that, in case you are behind on The Bad Batch by this episode or previous episodes, you don't want to keep watching or listening to this video, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. First and foremost, this felt like a proper Bad Batch episode. It was exciting. It had interesting characters. You know, you tapped into familiar favorites like Gunji from the Clone Wars, who was just a little Padawan when we first met him way back in the Clone Wars episode, when he and the other Padawans had to rescue Ahsoka from Hondo and those pirates. And of course, it would make sense that he would be, well, a teenager at this point, because a couple, like 3 or 4 years would have passed during that time. You know, and this is the end of the Clone Wars and the early days of the Empire. And I'm glad he survived Order 66. Now, will he survive the rest of this franchise? I don't know. But hey, you know what? It's nice to know that not every single Jedi was indeed exterminated, because obviously there were survivors. Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, characters from a couple of video games, I believe, or something. I don't know, and I don't know their names. Whatever is canon, whether it's in the game, TV show, Kanan is the character, not canon. I didn't confuse the two. Just FYI. I guess Gunji is one of the survivors of Order 66, and of course he'd be trying to get back to Kashyyyk, which means featuring some of our favorite Star Wars aliens, the Wookiees. So it was great to see Kashyyyk again. I don't believe we've been back to Kashyyyk since Revenge of the Sith, because I don't believe there were any Clone Wars episodes that took place there. There were Wookiees in Clone Wars episodes, but the planet itself was not featured. And we certainly have gone back to it in any of the live-action shows of Mandalorian, Andor, or Book of Boba Fett. So it would make sense for it to appear in an animated show like this one. After the fact, after the Clone Wars. It was nice to see that some of the Wookiees were doing pretty well for themselves, riding on those badass-looking giant cat creatures. And of course, the Trandoshans would be the ones there, not only incinerating the forest, but taking Wookiees as slaves as well, since a lot of Trandoshans are indeed slavers. Except for Sid. Sid doesn't seem to be into slavery, which is lucky for the Bad Batch, because she probably would have sold him as slaves as soon as she looked at him. So, thanks, Sid. But this episode was great. Love seeing Gunji again. Hunter apparently speaks a little Wookiee. Him and the Bad Batch. I loved Wrecker learning how to speak Wookiee and then bonding with one of the other Wookiee warriors and drinking out of the big wooden bowl and whatnot. Very exciting stuff. I loved how the spiders intervened on their behalf and saved Gunji from the head slaver guy, who didn't look like a Trandoshan, but a similar reptilian alien type of guy. I didn't recognize the species, but I don't think he was Trandoshan, but apparently he was in charge of the Trandoshans and the clones, which was a weird team up to see. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, since the clones are now working and serving the Empire. They would serve alongside shadier characters like the Trandoshans. But I liked how Gunji was like kind of saved by the spiders, but they kind of interfered in the fight, saying, hey, don't worry about this, bro. We got this. And they string him up in a web and take him away to be eaten. That was awesome. Like I said, very exciting, action-packed episode with some familiar favorites. Things that made Clone Wars so great, like Gunji, Wookiees, and Trandoshans. You know, this was a solid episode of The Bad Batch. This episode felt like it had a lot of ingredients that, frankly, the past 2 or 3 episodes were missing. I liked the other episodes fine, but I really really liked this episode especially, as I hope you guys did too. So I hope you were just as entertained with this as I was. Do you have any thoughts on this episode? What were your reactions to it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on this. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Star Wars The Bad Batch drops new episodes every Wednesday on Disney+. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.